our true natures have been
nurturing, caring, loving,
but they've also
inspiration.
We've given that away. We've allowed others to manipulate our own true nature.
Yes, indeed.
Right?
A lot.
Because we voluntarily closed our eyes a bit.
Welcome
to another episode
of Driving to the Res
with your favorite hosts,
Inelia
and Larry.
And our kitty cats, Dora. And our doggy woggies, PB, who everybody knows already.
Yeah. So we had a pretty interesting end of the year, looking forward at the year call. I know this is probably about a month or so after that call.
Not quite, but
it's close.
A few weeks after the call, yeah.
So if you haven't, given it a listen, I, highly suggest that you do give it a listen. It's part of our responsibility as brilliance of light workers.
To be informed.
Otherwise, sometimes you will get, blinded by the dark.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's called Looking at 2024 with Inelia Benz.
Yeah.
But it's actually looking with Larry too.
Yeah, I came along. So
very interesting information. Part one is the fluffy bunny stuff, the stuff that we can actually publish in all the media, social media outlets. And the second part is the really, really fascinating part where we go into depth and can actually name things and give the situations the nomenclature that we can, identify it with. Specifics that we're not allowed to say in public states.
The first free Fluffy Bunny part was planned to be half an hour. It ended up being an hour.
Yes, nobody told me that time was actually up at half hour, so we went all the way to an hour. And lots of information there. Lots of bookmarks for you to look out for during 2024. Take a look at them, because if you write them down and keep them in your awareness, you'll see how the split is coming along.
Right. All right. And so we thought we would write our article and talk about
the bookmarks,
and one of them in particular this week.
Yeah.
So let's give her a go.
Yeah, the bookmark that we're going to talk about this week for 2024 is called Religions and Aliens. The link between religions and alien. So
this is a newsletter that you can read yourself.
Yeah. So go to our Substack, and all of our newsletters and articles are posted there.
Yeah, so you can read it, or you can just kick back and listen.
Yeah. So if you go to substack.com and search Inelia Benz, you're going to find the newsletter there and all the articles.
All right. So let's give it a read.
Religion and aliens, darling.
Yes.
During our look at 2024 broadcast, we talked about bookmarks, a series of words and events that will be pushed by the main media in the coming months, that will indicate the progress of our societal split from a single power over others reality into a reality where our true nature is correctly perceived, which is my definition of enlightenment. One of these bookmarks is a semi-official or completely official link between religion and the presence of ETs on Earth by the US government and the main religions of the world.
Yeah, I feel like that one's been so heavily seated in the ancient aliens and all that for so many years now. It's like just a natural progression.
I haven't watched that show, but yeah. Wow, yeah, so it's already being seeded everywhere. And my kitty cat's biting me for some reason. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Too much weight on her or something. So as you read this article, keep in mind that we can often fall for the victim-aggressor paradigm as we start blaming others for the state of the world when it comes to information and education. But instead of falling into anger or frustration at what they are doing, know that I share this information so that you are knowledgeable of the agenda behind the events planned for 2024 and are able to consciously respond rather than get swept up in turbulent waters with a reactive state, When you know what is planned for the purpose of inciting tension and separation, fighting and anger demonstrations, you must also know you have a choice about whether you'll be joining the amplification of these feelings or not.
That reminds me of boot camp, honestly.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because when you go to boot camp, you watched all the movies and you know how terrifying and terrible it's going to be. But you also kind of like, it's probably not going to bug me. I mean, I know it's like he screams and shouts, but then you get there and you're standing there. It is so easy to get swept into the emotional tidal wave of some giant guy screaming at you to do push-ups, right? Yeah. But at some point, if you expand your awareness, you understand the purpose of all these push-ups is to exert psychological pressure on you, but also to get you in shape so that at the end of 8 weeks or however long, you could do enough push-ups to pass the test. It's just exercise to pass the test, but the extra emotional baggage twisted into it, when that vanishes, it loses its power to affect you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Instead of taking it personally, you're like, oh, well, we need to do 20 push-ups today so that we can pass our push-up test. Mm-hmm. So we'll keep doing push-ups for a while. And then at the end of a month or so, we can take our test and everybody's going to pass. And then everybody can stay in the Coast Guard. And if we don't do all these push-ups, not everybody's going to pass. And the stress part is optional, right? This becomes optional. Mm-hmm. That affected me greatly in boot camp because at first I went in with the knowledge that there was games. My dad told me it's games they play and stuff, but it didn't matter that I knew it.
You fell for them anyway.
I fell for it anyway because it was such high stress, right? Yeah. But at some point in there, I found myself again, right? And when I found myself, it was comprehension of the game and what and how it is operated and played, right? And then it no longer affected me negatively. It actually turned into, I was quite positive. I was like, lots of food, a big pile of it, and plenty of exercise and new information and the ability to excel in a place that I, by nature, should be able to excel.
Right.
And so then, it was a completely different experience than the start. So I equate that similar to what we're doing, which is, don't get swept up by the agenda, which is to create this tension in you. Just see it
for what it is.
See it for what it is. And then,
So you're saying that the nasty stuff that happened to your boot camp was for your own good?
No, it wasn't nasty. That was a misconception.
That was the misconception that it was good for you.
No.
Are they nasty?
No. No.
What was the misconception?
There was no nasty stuff. There was exercise. The only nasty stuff was the psychological pressure being applied. But when the psychological pressure that was being applied was understood to be an attempt to manipulate me psychologically, then I saw that I can't. It wasn't. I can't. It's not. You can scream all you want. It's irrelevant to me because it's not affecting me negatively, and it's not even affecting me at all. I'm just doing my push-ups.
Because you understood that you're being manipulated.
I understood that I was being manipulated, and so it didn't manipulate me anymore.
Exactly. So that's exactly what we're doing here.
Right. That's what I mean.
Understand that all of the stuff that's going to happen in the media is there to manipulate you, and as soon as you understand that, it can no longer manipulate you.
Yep.
Right. And then you can choose what to participate and what not to participate in. Absolutely. At a conscious level.
Right. Yeah. Like
without pain or suffering.
Like it maybe I'm tired. It's like, okay, I'll take a little of this psychological pile on. I'll say like, yes, that darn guy, didn't tie his shoes, so we got to do push-ups. And maybe that powered me through 20 push-ups. But I did it to help me do 20 push-ups. But it was just artificial.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's all about empowerment and capacity to stay at our true frequency for the majority of the day, every day. Right? So if we don't amplify those feelings of fear, frustration, anger, taking sides, or giving away our power to a government or religion, we're able to stay at our true frequency the majority of the day, every day. This particular 2024 bookmark is fascinating to me in many ways, primarily because understanding how people function at a level of religious, dogmatic, cultural, or societal program is key to the empowerment of those who are awake, or awakening on Earth. That's why I talk about it so much. Do you agree?
Indeed.
When I was in high school, the teacher of religious studies, a class that was part of the core curriculum, taught that religions were a response by society to the human need for expanded awareness, or as he put it, having a religious experience. So people at a core level look out for and search religious experiences, experiences that expand their awareness, their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we think of a religious experience, we understand it to mean a moment in time when the person sees something that is larger than life and gets carried by the experience out of their small mind and world into the perception or understanding of something much larger. From a purely psychological perspective, as our teacher in religious studies taught us when I was a teen, this can happen in multiple ways. It can happen while watching a sunset, and it is the main drive for people to travel to foreign locations in order to experience things that are outside of their concept of normality. It is the reason why cathedrals were built to inspire awe, and as well as palaces and the stage and light shows of famous singers during live concerts. Like, woo! You get that whoa feeling, right?
Yeah, it's a larger than your regular day feeling.
Yeah. The person leaves feeling like they have been transported into a different realm. And this is really fascinating about ET encounters, right?
It is.
ET encounters, physical experiences, as well as telepathic experiences, can radically change a person. It can completely change their life, their perception of reality, and even turn on psychic abilities. It can, by all defined measures, be a religious experience.
Yeah, by the measures that we define those by.
Yeah.
I know I watch, the fellows that were flying their jets and they had little Tic Tacs next to them, the Tic Tac guys. Their life, their own experience of life has changed dramatically. And they've only had, it was a 10-minute, 5-minute, 2-minute
distance
encounter by a distance through a camera of a Dawe Ucha.
Yeah.
And their entire life has changed.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would be it's positive or negative. Like my life's much better because of it, or my life's much worse, but it's changed.
It has changed.
Right. The better or worse is their choice.
It is. And we'll go into that. Right. It is not therefore a great jump to go from ET experience to a religious at a subconscious societal level. This link between the ET experience and the life-changing aspect of it will be exploited to control the ET narrative of our culture. We will see increasing media narratives that link the two, even if it's just through having both ideas in the same sentence or paragraph, or having an ET story directly followed by a story of a religious leader or a main religion. The idea of religion and ET become linked in that manner at a subconscious level. And if you were a studious person of sociolinguistics or psychological manipulation, if you watch just the timeline of, let's say, the daily news, the main ones, if you look at their most popular program during the day, because they always have the peak hours, and then you look at the narrative as it's presented, the order it is presented during that hour, you will get a very good piece of data around what they're trying to link at a societal level.
Ah, tricky.
Yeah. It's really, really interesting if you like that type of thing.
If you're interested in what are they trying to link.
Yeah,
that's a good research. Because often, it's not very often that I see that.
No, we don't see it.
It doesn't even enter, but it would be interesting from research perspective just to go give it a look-see and say, so what are they doing? What's on the agenda today?
Yeah.
Maybe curious, maybe not.
Don't spend too much there because it gets very frustrating when you start seeing what they're doing. It's so base, so base. And it's so effective that you can get frustrated,
Yes.
Yeah, so affected at a social level. Yeah. The words used for ET and UFO have been changed to unidentified aerial phenomena, and it is possible that this has been done to introduce religion into the equation. It's hard, for example, to go from ET UFO to a sighting of the Virgin Mary, but it's hard to go from an unidentified aerial phenomenon to God's mother.
Right. Those words are linked differently, right? UFO is linked to, little green man and flying saucers, and that ain't God.
Right.
There's nowhere to get to Jesus or the Divine Mother from little
From
green
there.
men and flying saucers. So when the linguistic change came, there's a purpose, and the origin of that linguistic change wasn't
random.
It wasn't not only not random, it was who introduced it. It was the power structure.
Yeah.
That is an existence that is in power over others. That's the one who introduced the linguistic change.
Yeah.
So you can guarantee their agenda for the linguistic change wasn't benevolent. It's like, how are they going to use this to take power over somebody?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
You just know that's the agenda, so it's easy to follow the trail if you know it from the start, right?
Yes.
Maybe you can't figure it out very easily, but it's what that for. So, otherwise they wouldn't do it.
Right. An example could be an unidentified phenomena was seen over the airport, JFK airport, whatever. And the next section, a painting of Archangel Michael was sold for $3 billion at Reuters or whatever.
Totally. Yeah. I did see that stuff too.
You did?
I did.
Oh my God. That's amazing. That's amazing. But is that unlinked? In your conscious level, is that unlinked? But at subconscious level, how we function as a human being, we link
the continuous story.
Yeah, because we perceive things linearly. So if something's linked like that, then at a subconscious level, when they start saying that, there's a sighting of Archangel Michael or the Virgin Mary or whatever, it's going to
subconsciously get linked and stick.
Yeah, it's going to stick.
At an subconscious level.
Yeah. We resonate more with things that are familiar to us. That is a psychological trick. Even if there was a song when you were a kid that was played in the radio 10,000 times.
My God, were there those?
Yeah. And you didn't like it, but it kept getting played, let's say by your brother or whomever was playing it. And then 30 years go by and you hear it on the radio, you're going to go, I remember that song. And you start singing to it and liking it. Why?
My brother used to play that all the time.
Yeah. Why? Because it's familiar. It's something that is ingrained as something familiar. And we resonate and we get happy energies, endorphins, when we see familiarity, when we see things that are familiar. So if these links become familiar at the subconscious level, when we see it directly linked, this aerial phenomenon is actually God coming back, or whatever it might be, the Divine Mother or whatever, then it's going to stick and we're going to say, yes,
that's it. I knew it.
I knew it. Oh, that makes all sense,
now
because endorphins
sense.
get triggered by the familiarity of it.
Yep.
All the things.
All the things.
All the things. Lovely. Don't forget not to fall into the victim aggressor cycle here.
Yep. No victims. Just volunteers.
Yes. Religious ideas will come in the form of the Virgin Mary, the Lady in all her formats, as well as angels, demons, and spirits. I'm starting to see that actually happening in the alternative media already.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Actually, it's been happening for a few months now, if we think about it. The linking of spirits and divine things, to ET, whatever. Unidentified aerial phenomena. You can't say ET or UFOs now when you look at it that way. Why do we need to be aware of these linking narratives, and why does it matter? People are waking up and becoming more perceptive all over the world. No matter what side of the split you chose, your awareness is expanding. It can't be helped. As this happens, we start seeing more of the universe and all the creatures within it. If we don't know what's happening, then we look for authorities that can explain it to us. Governments and religions will gladly comply and provide narratives that will keep them as authorities over your life, and thus in power over others. Governments and religions in a power over others paradigm place themselves between the people and the people's higher self. As the people start perceiving that larger reality, religions and governments need to insert themselves between the people and what they're perceiving. The narratives will come with energies of fear or faith, energies that most people react to by giving away their power to something they think will protect them or explain the unexplainable in a manner that doesn't disrupt the order too much. If we see these things reported in the mass media outlets and have no definition and don't know what is happening, the mass media will happily create a narrative for us where we are hopeless, vulnerable, and have to trust in higher powers and authorities to explain it or protect us from it. Our job is to respond instead of react. As our perceptions allow us to personally see these UFOs and ETs, or other names we may decide to give them, we can know that it is a natural side effect of our collective raising of awareness. We can therefore respond accordingly and not fall for fear or other agendas set in the scripted narratives for those who are keen to stay in the power over others' world are pushing. We will define our experience based on the correct perception of our true nature and therefore comprehend the true nature of what we perceive. Ta-da!
Exactly. I mean, you really don't need to say more, right?
No.
Have you heard that last sentence? Did you make it to the last sentence?
We will define our experience based on the correct perception of our own true nature and therefore comprehend the true nature of what we perceive.
Right. You exit yourself from manipulation.
Yes.
And you perceive what it is that's there
Yes.
for you to experience, right?
Yes.
And then you choose, well, what reaction, what action, if any, will I be taking?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like, here's A, B, C, D, E. It's like how everything comes to you and how you respond, right?
Yeah.
I'll respond from the perspective of my own true nature, our own true nature, and what are we? Now, we all aren't the same, right?
Yes.
But most everyone who's listening to this, and certainly everyone who's gotten this far in this, are very similarly qualitied. We have the same kind of quality of light, functioning from the space, place of light being. And light being, we mean, how would you describe light being other than light being, you know?
I would say somebody who is motivated or animated by inspiration,
Animated
creation,
by inspiration and creation,
exploration, capacity to grow, link, connection,
right?
Connection with our physical universe, connection at a spiritual level. A light being would never in 1,000 years go out of their way to hurt another person on purpose. They would never do it.
Or a bug or whatever even. It's like, well, you know, maybe some bugs.
I don't think bugs qualify, but it's like another person. I'm talking about another person. Be realistic here. You're going to stop or make 10 billion bugs, and if you try not to, then you're just being distracted to larger things.
But yeah, right.
You wouldn't torture another person.
You wouldn't exploit
torture
another person for your own gain. It's like, I'm going to trick them so that I'm just going to watch them be miserable. That's going to be a great game to watch. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to stack on some misery and see how miserable they can become. Yeah. Like, exploit. Like, all you 10,000 people work your butts off and give me all your money, and bare subsistence for you, because if you got enough money to live, then you're not going to work hard enough for me. So,
and if you get sick, I'll kill you.
And if you get sick, yeah, whatever.
So that's a dark.
Those are not us.
No.
None of us listening are like, well, that's not a bad idea.
Right.
Right. Those are the your true nature. And our true natures have been
nurturing, caring, loving,
but they've also
inspiration.
We've given that away. We've allowed others to manipulate our own true nature.
Yes, indeed.
Right?
A lot.
Because we voluntarily closed our eyes a bit. Yes. We just had our eyes closed and our heads down and allow ourselves, in a sense, to have a certain experience, right? Mm-hmm. It's like not the victim experience or the whatever. It's an experience of life, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we're lifting our head and open our eyes. We're perceiving our true nature. Mm-hmm. Our own true nature isn't to be exploited or exploit, right?
Right.
And so we're not going to pretend we're being nice by a pretend thing that somebody said, if you do that now, you're a nice person. We're not going to be exploitable that way. Right. We know what's the right thing to do.
But being informed,
by being informed,
we can be, we no longer get blinded by the dark.
Right. By being informed, by expanding our awareness, by not just like, oh no, he didn't tie his shoes. I got to do push-ups. That mean guy. I hate that kid over there for not having his shoes tied. Look at him. Look what he did to all of us, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to fall for that.
Right.
We're going to be able to look at it from a larger picture.
Yeah. From boot camp example.
That's the boot camp example. I mean, it's so prevalent everywhere, you know. You can see the exact same thing played out a million times because we like to be able to blame others for what's happening to us.
If you're in a light paradigm.
If you're in a light paradigm.
Or we're in this paradigm. We like to blame.
But that's not our true nature.
No, it's not our true nature to blame. No. That's our programmed through darkness nature. And we've done that. We've chosen what programs to integrate in ourselves. Anyways, on our second half, our second part, which goes to all our sponsors at Subscribestar and Walk With Me Now, we're going to be exploring, I'd like us to explore, if these aerial phenomena or ETs or UFOs are not what the government and the media are selling, then what are they?
We have an actual aeronautical engineer.
We do
on our panel.
We do have,
true.
Yes,
airplane, helicopter, flight engineer.
We do.
Yes, that's one of them. We have a doctor.
We have a doctor.
A doctor of education.
Yeah.
In our panel. Mm-hmm. We have a recruiter talk to tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Very broad.
Yeah.
Exposure to a broad variety of like inputs, right?
Yes.
Thousands of people. So
we have an architect and a mystic.
An architect and a mystic.
And she's highly trained in all these other things, you know, like the psychic abilities and yes.
Well, even our airplane engineer is a regression therapist.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So we have
mystic as well. All of our
panels, yeah, from different walks of life,
from different professional walks of life.
Yeah.
So check into the second part.
Yeah.
The second part. We call it the second hour, do we?
We call it the second hour, and for sure, it's the way to support our work.
For sure.
Yeah. So go there, and if you want to support our work and get all these goodies and further discussions.
Really dig in on this.
Yeah.
Really digging this.
And also, it's like a lot of the stuff that we talk about are bits that we can't really put into social media because we're getting our channels banned and stuff. So you get to get the meat and potatoes also on the second hour, and you get to support us. So thank you to all our present supporters and patrons
of the light.
Yep. From Subscribestar and from Walk With Me Now.
Yep. Okay.
And we'll see you
in a minute. Love you, honey.
Love you. So as a teen, I used to play the game of bringing in the black helicopters with my friends. It was hilarious. It was very easy to do, and it would work every time. And it was like, do we want to waste billions of dollars for these agencies that are doing this? Because this technology that they put out in the air, they're expensive.